Good morning. Welcome to Just for Today, a time of eclectic reading, sharing of perspectives, meditation, and prayer. I'm Reverend Rafe Ellis, Senior Minister and Spiritual Leader of the newly joined Centers for Spiritual Living Communities of Columbia and Greater Baltimore. Today is July 3rd. So let's see what we're looking at today. Today we're reading from This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes. And I'm reading from page 66, the first full paragraph. Learn how to think abundantly. Think of the vastness of everything, the limitlessness of space, the numberless grains of sand on the seashore. How abundant, how lavish nature is. Learn to see abundance in everything, to multiply the good you already possess. Be consciously one with the law of abundance. Expectancy will speed your progress. Now, I don't know about you, but what instantly sparks the sentence in this that really catches my attention? Learn to see abundance in everything. Multiply the good you already possess. And my experience is that many of us look at abundance from the perspective of what we don't have and what we want. And then we find ourselves frustrated by this sense of how hard it is to manifest our abundance. We hear people tell us that we're abundant beings, and yet we struggle to manifest our abundance. And I submit to you that it really is because where Ernest Holmes invites us to learn to think abundantly, many of us, instead of learning to think abundantly, are living in the practice of conditioned lack thinking, trying to overcome our thinking of lack by abundance without realizing that most of what we're trying to manifest is coming from an abundance consciousness, from lack thinking rather than abundant thinking. And the challenge with that is the way universal law works, right? It's responding to what we believe, not what we want to believe, but what we believe. And so if I believe I don't have, and if I believe that I have to have this other thing to be something else, now I've got layers of lack operating. And what universal law is responding to is my sense of lack, my belief in lack and limitation. And so we have to learn to shift our thinking. This is why we do spiritual mind treatment, to get our spiritual mind disciplined, to teach ourselves how to use our spiritual mind. And it's very simple because we are surrounded by abundance. And so we teach ourselves to think abundantly by paying attention differently. Um, I remember um, the first time I encountered metaphysics in a um, congregate setting was in Asheville, North Carolina, and Reverend Dr. Barbara Waterhouse was the assistant minister of Unity out in Skyland. And just out of curiosity, I went in to see what was happening. And I don't remember what Dr. Barbara's topic was about, but I remember this. I remember her saying, if you want to change your life, pay attention to what you're paying attention to. And I've never forgotten that. And so when we're learning to think abundantly, pay attention to what you're paying attention to. Are we paying attention to the abundance of the universe? Are we paying attention to the abundance of the stars? Are we paying attention to the abundance of the mosquitoes? Are we paying attention to the abundance of moisture in the air when we're experiencing humidity? Or are we paying attention to lack? What we don't have that we wish we had. And then bring it back to ourselves, right? Where is there abundance in my life? And then to focus on that to expand that. Um, One of the things, the phrases I learned in management is what gets recognized gets repeated. And perhaps that same idea, that same practice works in growing us spiritually, that what gets recognized gets repeated, what gets fed grows. And so I invite you to spend this day looking around, seeing intentionally, purposefully, seeing the abundance of life, and then expecting that to grow, expecting your personal abundance, expecting abundance as you to grow. And if you catch yourself straying and focusing on what you don't have, it's a simple, ah, nope, and then go back to focusing on abundance. Your thoughts? Okay. So let's take this. I'm going to read this one more time and take it into our time of meditation. It's a 5 minute practice of just being present with. So I invite you to, for the next 5 minutes, just be present with this reading. Learn to think abundantly. Think of the vastness of everything, the limitlessness of space, the numberless grains of sand on the seashore. How abundant, how lavish nature is. Learn to see abundance in everything, to multiply the good you already possess. Be consciously one with the law of abundance. Expectancy will speed your progress. one, one power everywhere present, pure abundance, infinite intelligence, joy, beauty, energy, life itself. Whether we know it as creation, as God, Buddha, Allah, Great Spirit, the Great Mystery, Spirit, the unknown, the infinite, the divine, it can never be fully captured by a name because it is limitless. It is simultaneously unformed substance and form. It is simultaneously infinite possibility and individualizing itself to express itself in form and all that surrounds it. And being the only substance, all must be created out of it, by it. And so this journey is one of remembering the truth of being. I am that in form. And while all of it is fully present in, through, and as me, the individualized me is never all of it. Rather, a cell in the infinite body of the whole. The abundant cells in the body of a whole. And so I begin my declaration there, claiming and affirming an awareness this day that every particle I meet and experience in this earthly realm, that I choose to see it as the abundance of creation, as the abundance of individualized expression within one body, one wholeness, inseparable, unified by the substance of which all is. I claim and affirm that this day I see the abundance in nature, the abundance in diverse, individualized expressions of one thing. The abundance of ideas, the abundance of intelligence, the abundance of a myriad of ways to experience joy and life. Abundance everywhere I look. Inescapable abundance. And as I recognize abundance, as I commune with the abundance of life, I give thanks. I give thanks for the shift in my consciousness, my awareness of consciousness itself as the abundance of life. I live this day in a state of gratitude for the healing within my own mental processes, expanding my alignment, my use, my embodiment of the consciousness that I am, more than the conditioned awareness I've been taught. I allow my thoughts to shift. I allow my beliefs to shift. I allow my habits to shift. I allow my focus to remain steadfast on celebrating the abundance that is. And so, knowing that it already is, I let go of every concept of lack. I let go of every lie that is conditionally embedded in my human thinking that distracts me from the abundance that is. I let go of any limited idea of a specified outcome that equals abundance and instead recognize that abundance simply is, and it is everywhere present in, through, and as me, and in, through, and as everything and everybody else. That it is the truth of being. Life is abundance. And so I live this day in expectancy. Expectancy that what is recognized is repeated, that what is fed grows. Even now, as my awareness of abundance expands, my abundance, my experience of abundance expands. Ashe. Shalom. Aho. Amin. Amen. And so it is. Namaste.